When ordinary people think of autumn, they imagine shorter days, cozy fires, curling up with a great piece of literature, and basking in the warming scent of cinnamon with shades of burnt orange, which your other half has decided to spend the life savings on to decorate the home for only 2 months, just as God intended. Yet we must remember that this transition into the frosty abyss of winter creates the perfect conditions for the spread of the pathogen known as Halloween. This disease causes people to dress like demons and go door to door asking for free stuff. This public service announcement aims to give you the correct tool to help you deal with these contagious commie behaviors when they manifest in your local community. First, you'll want to arm yourself with multiple shots of the best-selling paperback on Amazon called The Nephilim Looked Like Clowns. With this PPE, you're fully equipped and well protected to handle what's to come next. Second, have a pumpkin spice latte and white girl autumn your time away in knitted cream shackets and pilgrim hats, because soon enough, Samhain begins. This is when the veil between the spirit realm and the physical world is at its thinnest, and possession, the main symptom of Halloween, is more commonly presented, causing this type of unironic cringe to start happening. Just look at him. This poor soul thinks he looks cool. And if you're not careful, this could be you. Together we can stop the spread of Halloween and flatten the curve. When you see fully grown adults playing dress-up and mirroring unspeakable horrors from beyond the void, remember your training and cure their vapid sense of self-identity by handing them one of our favourably reviewed treatments. Your country must develop herd immunity to seasonal cringe. So, spread the cure far and wide. Just like the cure, this disease does not discriminate by age. Emulating the infected, you will see children running around in bedsheets, knocking on doors, begging for sugary treats, and threatening to damage your well-earned property. Make sure to fill their novelty buckets with the one thing all children secretly want: a well-rounded and relatable education in biblical history. That'll stop the spread. The Nephilim Look Like Clowns and the inevitable booster volumes are currently the only known cure to thinly veiled demon channeling holidays. This is your best defense against this pandemic of spooky proportions. All you have to do is trust the science. Which you know we did, because I'm showing you people wearing lab coats and looking serious. Get your copy on Amazon today and be prepared for tomorrow. Side effects of reading The Nephilim Look Like Clowns include, but are not limited to, a feeling of existential crisis, a well-rounded knowledge of a Christian contrarian view on human history, a foundational understanding of spiritual warfare, and a healthy aversion to clowns.
Hello everyone, how are we all doing? Come on in, sit on down, let's have a bit of a Q&A, shall we? Yes, I am going away for a week. After today, me and the family, me and my wife and son are going to take a little family trip for a week, just to get away from it all, you know, and just to have one last holiday together before the second baby comes in the next couple of months. So yeah, those who don't know, we're expecting our second son, and he's due in the back end of December, but you know, these things, they never go as planned. It could be at the start of December for all we know. But until then, we're just going to try and get away, have a quick holiday, and then I'll come straight back. I'll be back with you guys as well. So yeah, here I am, live stream. How are we all doing? Here I am in my office. Looks like I'm angled quite far down there. There we go. I'm in the frame. So how are we all doing, guys? What's new in the conspiracy world? Fill me in, because I'm not going to lie, I am falling behind. Busy with everything, as you can imagine. And packing hasn't helped either. Preparing and shopping for the trip as well. So yeah, I'm a little bit out of the loop. It seems like I haven't posted much in a while, but I've actually been on 2 podcasts since I last talked with Connor from the Cults of Con. We did a live show Thursday. But I've actually been on 2 podcasts in the past week as well. But they won't be released publicly until the podcasters release their version first. One of them is currently available on Patreon, and to my $5 and above members as well on YouTube. So if you want to go check that out, you can. It was quite interesting. It was with the Awakened podcast, and it was a bit different than the usual just explaining what the Nephilim look like clowns theory is that I usually do. It was a bit more introspective and retrospective about the journey of creating the book and the ins and outs, a bit of a testimony here and there as well. A bit of the conspiracy theorist journey type of talk, which was a nice change of pace from the usual ones I do. So I was thankful to do that and talk with Brad over there. A really nice guy. He's quite new to the conspiracy game, started in 2020. And he seems to be getting his footing quite well. He knows a guy or two. He's friends with the guys over at the Nephilim Death Squad. He seems to have met people like Sam Tripoli and Tony Merkel over the Confessionals podcast as well. So he seems to be well connected and getting in there, and it was nice to talk with him. We had a great conversation. So that's going to be released to you guys probably soon. I don't know when he's going to release it himself, but as soon as he does, I'll be making that public for you guys as well. But I also talked with the guys over at the Mystery Bible On podcast. Let's see what they did there. And the Mystery Babylon podcast, and we did the Nephilim Look Like Clowns stuff. I kind of explained all to them thoroughly, and we went into a lot of things, a lot of nuances again we wouldn't normally have talked about on normal streams about that thing. They were quite inquisitive and they were quite well versed in the Bible themselves, so we had a good back and forth and a good biblically grounded conversation, which was fun. They'll probably be releasing theirs at some point in the next week. It seems like 3 days ago they last posted something, so let's maybe in the next 5 days to release our episode. And as soon as they do that, I'll release it to you guys on my channel as well. So there will be 2 podcasts being released this week while I'm on holiday. There'll be some content, but don't expect me to be popping up and just, I don't know, mind exploding loads of random words and thoughts like I usually do in the odd video every now and then. I won't be doing any of those conversational pieces. But before I leave, I thought I'd check in, have an hour or two with you guys, just to have a bit of a talk, a bit of a chat, and a bit of a Q&A. So what's going on in the chat, guys? Let's have a look-see. We've got the doctors in from Pennsylvania. We've got Karen here. We've got Kirk, Shannon. We've got Janelle. We got Fasted. Wendy, thanks for being here. We got Pearl. And yeah, so we've got some familiar faces. We've got Linda as well. We got Mad Pax. Brilliant, guys. Thanks for being here. I really appreciate it. So, hello, Paul. Thank you for all you do. I've been following your work for about 6 months now. You are spot on. I am on chapter 8 of your book on Kindle. Absolute truth. Thank you. Thanks for that. I appreciate you reading the book. I'm glad you're enjoying it. Make sure to share it with your friends as well. Let's get the message out there, guys. But yeah, thanks for that. On the book, you see I've got a lovely pile here next to me. I've sold a few copies since this has come in. But these are available for signed personal copies if you're interested. Just send me a message. You can email me at understandingconspiracy@gmail.com, and I will give a personalized message in the back here for you. Bit of a signature, bit of a thank you, and I'll send that to you in the post if you're interested. Just message me for pricing, and we can sort all of that out. I have paperback, and I've got some hardbacks available as well. So I think I have 1, 2, 3, 4 hardbacks. I'm keeping one for myself. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 paperbacks left as well. So if you're interested, guys, just let me know and I can sort something out for you. Something a bit more personal. And obviously that helps me a great amount as well. And you get something in return. This is great. Love it. Says ban Hollywood because... Okay. I'm glad you enjoy whatever it is. Was it the advert? Do you guys still like the advert, or are you sick of it now? Because I do tend to milk them for everything they've got, don't I? What else have we got? Hey Paul, coming from Hurricane Alley here in Florida, we need prayers. Yeah, I heard you guys have it really, really rough right now. And I've heard there's a lot of shenanigans going on in North Carolina as well, involving an alphabet agency who seems to be hindering the efforts of the local law enforcement and charity organizations, and some really probably not allowed to talk about it, dodgy stuff happening, and it seems like the people are really pulling together and doing the best they can to help each other there, which is a great thing to see, but it's also a tragedy to see the loss of life and the pain and misery that's also taking place there too. So I'm thinking about you guys, and I'm obviously praying for you guys too. As I'm sure many other are, but I'm not sure what more I can do over here, in England, other than just discuss this. And I've also had a few people sending me messages, getting more conspiratorial about the situation. And I don't know of the validity of this because I'm not privy to the internal politics of specific states, but I understand there may be a valuable resource in that region, and this could quite simply be a method of driving the people out of the land to gain said resources by billionaires and companies who are interested in obtaining said resources. But who knows? What do I know? Maybe that's the case, maybe not, but it's definitely something to keep your eye on. But again, there's only so much you can discuss on this platform without losing everything. So what can you do, But there are plenty of people on other platforms who are spreading the message far and wide. Go to my Telegram, in fact, if you want to get all the details on that. People are sharing lots of testimonies and personal experiences, and people cries for help, videos, all sorts of things from that event. And it's really horrible. It's really horrible stuff. As people are saying right now, yeah, they're clearing out the area for the big L. That's right. Yeah. It's dark stuff. Really dark stuff. And this is all coming at you, from the same agency who stockpiled all those huge, giant plastic coffins. You remember that from years ago? If I'm talking about what those odd-looking camps, as they call them, which all the train lines are leading to. Absolutely terrifying stuff. The second hurricane is on its way, says Kevin, in Tampa, Florida. Man-made and powerful. They need lots of blank and blank for their batteries. Not sure why yet. Yeah, I've heard the electric vehicle industry is involved with this in some way, and the guy who's heading up the main force behind that too. The same guy we just saw do a huge speech with a very prominent political figure at a big rally, right? What coincidental timing is that? Can't trust a billionaire as far as you can throw them, I suppose. Just listen to the Jordan Maxwell speech, which is an hour 47 long, about the sons of God and Genesis, reminding us that who we see aren't all human, which explains the corruption in governments that just don't make sense. Absolutely. Well, I was talking with Connor from the Cult of Con about this the other day. And go back to check the recent episode of the Truther Therapy Sessions, episode 67, I think it was. But I was talking with him. We're talking about the Nephilim Horde, and that went down many facets about a hidden army of monsters just waiting to be released upon us, but also the inhuman influence on the surface of people in positions of power who are doing things to people which are inhuman. And I was trying to explain, and I talked about it in the recent podcast as well. It's kind of, people don't want to hurt other people. You get people who do, who have like maybe a psychological disorder, like a form of psychopathy or sociopathy, where they don't have a conscience like a normal person, but it's usually because of a defect or something. It's not necessarily demonically influenced. It's like a corruption to their own psyche or something like that. So you get those people out there who they'll kill and not feel or care. Sure, they exist in the minority among normal humans. I'm not talking about those people. I'm talking about those who are in positions of power who send millions to die in wars they've orchestrated, Those who are poisoning us, controlling us in every aspect of our life, and indoctrinating us through and suppressing information that can keep us healthy, and all those things, this influence that is over humanity, this force, which is human, so-called led, these secret societies that are doing these things to us, that are so heinous, far beyond war crimes, you have to think, are they actually human? doing these things to other humans. Because there's plenty of stories coming out of things like, war scenarios and battles, especially through World War One as well. People who went through war often come back broken, and they have PTSD or something, or shell shock as he used to be called, way before they understood what it was, when they just thought it was cowardice, But people are changed by killing another man, another person. People can't cope with the guilt of doing that usually because they have a conscience. They have killed somebody's son. That person has a family, has a mother, possibly children of their own. These thoughts come in to normal people, normal humans, after killing another human. And people thrown into these war scenarios are forced to kill each other because it's me or them. It's that type of situation, and they've got no choice, basically. Either you do or you don't. But even then, there's stories coming out of these war scenarios where people are purposefully missing shots. Like, they're aiming just next to the head of the person who's popping up over the trench. Because they don't want to kill the person, but they want them to get down, it's that kind of thing. But they don't want to make it look like they're not doing their job to the general behind them, who's ready to shoot them in the back if they don't, for treason, for not following orders, So it's kind of, they were purposely missed shots. And there's also those stories of moments of humanity, the famous one is people coming out of the trenches at Christmas time, Germany and Britain, to play football and shake hands and have cigarettes, and have a laugh and sing carols. And then once Christmas is over, they'll both go back to their trenches and start shooting each other again. It's kind of, whether that's even true or, who knows if that's even a true story. Supposedly there's accounts of that happening, But if it is true, then it's like a testimony to this idea that those people don't want to be there killing each other. Humans don't like killing other humans. Like, it goes against everything within our normal God, made in God's image nature. And those who do suffer serious consequences. So those who are doing these things to us on such a heinous level, spiritual wickedness in high places, but the human influence as well, there's humans doing this to us. Are they really human? Because they're doing these to fellow humans, Maybe not. Like, maybe they are descendants of Nephilim, perhaps, or something like that. But the problem is that they're so watered down in that bloodline now that they look human. They look just like us. They're so bred into us that you couldn't tell the difference now between one of these elites that is a human and one of these elites that isn't. Like, you just don't know. And that's why the wheat and the tares parable is kind of like, it's not up to us to do the harvest or separate the wheat from the tares. That's not our job, because we can't know. We can't possibly know those things. It's left to Jesus to do that, So you let them grow together till the end, don't you? So you got to be careful. I'm not saying that there's this tendency that let's go out and get them, because that's just a stupid way of viewing with the world and behaving, because of our ignorance, our lack of ability to discern who is and isn't. But we see the influence of these people on the world and the evils and atrocities being committed against their fellow man. And deep down, like, this is not a human influence doing this. Humans don't do this to other humans. Like, this doesn't make any sense, like, from that perspective. And it really is a testimony, isn't it, to Ephesians 6:12, that we don't really wrestle against flesh and blood, but we wrestle against principalities, spiritual wickedness in high places, rulers of wickedness in this world and darkness. And it's true. It's very true. And we see it and we feel it, especially with events that are currently going down in America, You can see it in real time happening. Like, when disaster strikes, there's no one coming to save those people. In fact, you learn it's the complete opposite. Like, quite literally the opposite. There's nothing human about that. But yeah, anyway, back to the chat. a bit of a rant there. Are you going on vacation, Paul? Whereabouts? Yes, I'm going on vacation. We're going on we're keeping it in England, just a short trip. We can't really travel very far because obviously my wife's third term pregnant with only 2 months left to go. So it's we're keeping it short, and we're just having a bit of a family getaway in England. Many folks are trusting the news. Yeah, don't trust the news, guys. Absolutely, says Miss T. Greetings, seasoners, says Selene. Thanks for being here. I unknowingly referred to certain people as reptilians years ago, and now I believe it is literal. God-given insight, possibly. But the thing is, they're not really, are they? This is what I'm saying. Like, they are humans who have given themselves this divine right to rule because they believe their lineage goes back to the half-human, half-angel hybrids. But they look human. They look just like us. They're not any different from us, really. There's hardly any difference, in fact. You can't discern the difference. And Connor was explaining, with this Nephilim horde thing, there might be some who really don't look human. Like the more dominant trait that came from the seraphim angel parent, great, far times 10 removed, like grandparents, the fallen angel watchers. And they went down the other route, the hideous route and not the human route. But those are the ones that are like in national parks, kept out of sight or underground in these bases. But the ones that kind of look human, they've sent out onto the surface and they pass. They blend in enough, that no one's going to think they're not a human. And they've been put in these positions of power to rule over us. But their allegiance are to the subterranean lizard people, basically, but because that's who they truly are of. But they've been sent to the earth on the surface because they look human. Like good enough, they can pass. They might have some weird features when you really start to pay attention. Bit of a longer forehead than usual, like and things like that. Maybe like not like abnormally tall, but like 6 foot something. It's like, oh, that's odd. Maybe they have that odd thing going on here and there, but that's just a theory, though. We don't know that for certain. An exorcist told me they are perfectly possessed. Says LOTR apprentice, meaning there is an agreement between the demon and the human. Well, you know what? There is that element, isn't there, that they are just people who have made the deal for power and influence and control, but they have to give up their vessel for a demon to use them for whatever that demon pleases and wants. There is the argument for that case. But I've kind of been looking at other cultures for a while now for the book. And looking at their practices for channeling what they call their ancestor spirits. And I have to say, that they're not... I was talking about this on the podcast yesterday, actually. I was talking to Brad. I was explaining to them, like, because we got onto this topic because of the these Pentecostal charismatic movement churches. You look at them when they, like, grab the Holy Spirit and pull it into them, and then they hit the floor and start shaking and babbling in tongues, and all these type of things. And he was saying, it looks just like these other cultures who channel their ancestor spirits and end up rolling on the floor, writhing around, But he said he witnessed this himself, happening in a church. I've never seen it firsthand in a church, but I have seen plenty of these other cultures and videos and of people channeling their ancestor spirits and screaming, rolling around, shaking, and kind of making babbling noises, sticking their tongues out, you know what I mean? And just like the face going wild, the teeth coming out, looking really sharp and jagged. Just this odd things happening to them while the body kind of like crookedly twitches and snaps in weird, awkward directions, as the demon's taken over this body. And leave the Pentecostal stuff aside, whatever, whether that's real or not. But from what I've observed, people who bring the ancestor spirit into the body or get possessed, it's not like a fluid thing. It's not like an easy experience. And it's not as simple as like Hollywood would make it out to be, where someone gets fully possessed by a demon and then the demon just walks around down the street and no one knows, no one knows that person's now a demon being controlled. Like their body's just a puppet for a demon now. It's kind of like the demon perfectly just controls the body as though it is the person now. I don't think it works like that in reality. Because any of these cultures who do channel the spirits, it looks like a massive struggle for the demon to control that body. And this is a willing vessel. This is like a willing participant who has put the costume on to look like the demon and clown themselves up with white paint and a feathered headdress made of red reeds or something and put the colourful clothing on They've done the dance and the ritual, you know, they've said all the odd rites, they've drawn the sigils everywhere, they've lit all the candles, you know, they've lost themselves to the music, they've taken all the psychedelic drugs, they're fully in the ritual. Possess me, ancestor, take over my body, let me be a vessel for you to experience your pleasures and then give me stuff. So that's what they're like. They know what they're doing. They've gone through the whole process. They are the most willing vessel you could ever meet. And the demon still looks like it's seriously struggling to control that body. And this is a willing person who's letting it take over. Because I don't think demons can just possess a person that easily. They're not supposed to. You know, we can do things to make it easier, but they'll never, like, have that control. I don't think that's how it works. I think people, humans, have bodies created for their nefesh, specifically. It's only compatible with their own spirit created by God. We are made in God's image. We are fearfully made. He knows every hair on our head and the spirit, who we are. And that's been put into us. Our soul was created by him too. He knows us, you know. And he put us into this specific body, which he made for that specific nefesh. So they can't like just switch and bait them out and swap them around. It doesn't work like that. It's not that simple. And, you know, you can't share the space with another being either. Like, if you're in your body, there's not enough room, I suppose, metaphorically speaking, for another demon to get in there as well. You know, it's a bit cramped and it's difficult to move around. And you can see that struggle through when you see these rituals, you know what I mean? And the body's like thrashing around, they're biting their own tongue, you know, they're clawing at themselves, and they're like janky and jerky, you know, when they speak, they're like screaming with agony, and it's kind of, I don't think it's just that easy to get possessed. So that idea that Exorcist tells you, you know, it's like, it's perfect possession, I don't think I'm buying it. Like, I don't think that's a thing. I really don't think it actually works like that at all. And, you know, we were theorizing on this podcast the other day, there's kind of like a concerted effort from those creatures who are still on the earth, who haven't been disembodied yet, you know, or haven't become demons, disembodied spirits. They are building bodies and vessels to bring the spirits back, to give them a vessel and a body. And he was theorizing things like, you know, like alien greys are like the result of genetic engineering experiments on wildlife. You know, like cows go missing or have their face pieces missing after UFOs come over a farm, for example. They're taking genetic data to go and make chimeriid hybrid monsters, you know, in the hopes that the thing they make can house a demon consciousness, you know. And I think there's many failed attempts at this, and the alien greys are like an amphibian human hybrid creature that they use to house the spirits of the Nephilim, but it's like temporary, it doesn't last long, and the bodies don't last very long, and it's like, it's not a perfect method, you know, and it's like, it's not ideal, because they're very weak and limited in that form as well. But that's kind of what they have to resort to, you know, to have any hope of getting back to this side of the realm, this side of the earth, the place of embodied forms where we live, because they're in the place of disembodied form. And it's chaos, it's hell. They hate it there. It's like, it's described as a dry place. They have all these hungers and thirsts and desires with no senses or body to quench those desires or thirsts or hungers. They are starving for eternity until they get in a body and they can stuff their face with meat and flesh and blood while possessing this person and experience that flavor and taste and that sensation of being full before losing the body and then going back to the dry place. You know what I mean? So they can kind of dwell in a human body, and they can kind of partake vicariously through the senses and the pleasures, but it's like, by no means like a perfect possession process where they get full control. It's like a partial control, and it's a temporary one at that. And as soon as that person realizes their authority in Christ, they're out of there. You know, they get kicked out immediately and booted out, and it's kind of, that's just not optimal for these demons. So I think also the transhumanist agenda is working on this as well. They're trying to create like a perfected, immortal, robotic, mechanical, biomechanical body of some kind to house this consciousness, their consciousness, so they can kind of come back in that form again. But there's many Like they've got many like plates spinning at once, just hoping one of them doesn't fall off and works. Basically, it's like by no means a perfect thing. So just speaking about demonic possession, I basically what I'm trying to say is I don't think it's as all encompassing and as powerful as the movies would make it out to be. I don't think demons can simply just fully get somebody's body and then take full control and just be that person. I don't think they can do that. I really don't think it's possible. Because that's just not what is visually seen when you see people channeling spirits and being possessed. It's a struggle. It's a painful, horrible struggle to witness. Like, and it's like the demons in pain trying to control the human body. It hurts them because it's God's image at the end of the day, right? It's not their image. They shouldn't be there, and maybe it burns them in some way. I don't know. But it's anything to not be in that realm anymore type of situation. It's kind of like the curse in a way. Just some observations and a few theories I have on it there. That's not a cut and dry, so saith the Lord situation. To paraphrase Rob Ski, but that's so thinketh Paul. So let's just keep that. Let's just keep that there. So what are people saying in the chat anyway? I've got a super chat here from a member. You always do great work. Enjoy your holiday. Thank you. I appreciate that, MP. I really appreciate that. People acted shocked that the Alphabet Agency has failed them. I know, right? It's like, no way. Who saw this coming? Like, yeah. C96 James, I cannot mention anything you just asked me. Those words are instant ban words. The big no-no words for YouTube. So I'm not going to talk about that here. Unfortunately, I'm sorry. I knew two people who said they were from another world and can go back and forth. Interesting. What they probably meant is under the earth rather than out in space, which we all know doesn't exist. So yeah, possibly. Yeah, James, not a topic that can be discussed on YouTube safely, says Wendy. So Wendy's already beat me to the punch on that one. There we go. She knows the drill. New to your channel, bought 2 books, finished reading mine, sending one to a friend. Also got Gary Wayne's Genesis 6 conspiracy. I so appreciate your sharing with us. Enjoy your vacation, says N. Marino. Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm glad you enjoyed the book. Leave a good review if you get the time. Someone left me. I've been getting the 1-star reviews in now. I've had a good ride for a long time. I got up to like 65 reviews. I've stayed at like a 4.9 average. And then I've got a couple of 4-star reviews in, a couple of 3-star reviews, and a couple of 1 stars have just come in. One gave no explanation, and another one gave me a 1 star because it's not a picture book. I don't think that warrants a 1 star personally. I never advertised it as a picture book. No commentary on the actual content of the book, but it brought my average down. So now I'm resting at like 4.7, which is still good. But if you could, guys, it would be really appreciated if you could go and give me a 5-star review if you are a verified purchaser and reader of the book. Give me a 4-star if you think that's fair, or whatever. But it'd be nice to get those numbers back up, wouldn't it? Go and review the book if you haven't already. It just helps the algorithm as well, and it helps show the popularity of the book. It shows engagement, and it helps other people know what they're getting themselves into before they buy it too. So I would appreciate if you go to Amazon and leave a review if you enjoyed the book. I really do. Pictures help as well. They love that kind of stuff. Paul, where do you think the subterranean world will be unleashed first, says Dan Guest. Ooh, that's a titillating question, isn't it? I don't know, I really couldn't say. I mean, I think there's evidences on the earth that some kind of horde has already burst out of the ground in some ways. Do you guys know about this place? Let me just quickly check something here. I'm going to log onto the internet. I'm going to go to Google Maps. And there's I'm just going to quickly zoom out here. So there's a place in the Middle East, in Jordan. Okay, and I did a video on this not too long ago. And let me just change. Here we go. I'll share the screen with you. So I did a video on this not long ago because there's these odd patterns out in the Jordanian deserts in the northern Jordan, and they look just like the process of an embryo dividing, but it also shows exactly the way a reptilian embryo divides, and then next to it how a human embryo divides. It's really odd stuff, you know, it's based off the research of people who have been out there, archaeologists who have been dealing with this, you know what I mean, and they've been had communication with the Jordanian royal family to get permission to go and excavate and all this type of stuff, and they were showing me all the work and said, can you make a video just giving some kind of getting this info out there? So yeah, I'll give it a go. You know, it was interesting. So I did make a video about this. I'll show you where that is in a minute. But while looking at the Jordanian desert, I noticed another really odd things. Let's get this to satellite view. Here we go. And it's just north of Jordan. So they have this thing called the Black Desert, which is all of this, you see. And it's like this dark stone that's just everywhere. It's littered with these black stones, okay? They're just everywhere. Just littered with them. Like huge black rocks and little rocks. They're all scattered out en masse. And it makes it damn near impossible to traverse. And it's full of these odd formations here. They're like everywhere. And I believe in Africa there's something similar as well, but and I don't know which one it is. I can't remember now. I'm not showing you an example of the thing I made the video about. But what I'm saying is it was stuff like this. These are actually examples of like civilization, an old civilization, but also they actually represent biological phenomena. Like they are representations of internal biological cell regeneration and stuff like this. And people are getting scientists involved and comparing the two and saying, you know, the similarities are uncanny. So there's stuff like this all over the place in this desert. It's odd, you know. And these are otherwise non-traversable lands. It's really hard to get anything out there because of the rocks that are just all over the place, like they're absolutely scattered everywhere. You find these ones which are obviously man-made on the edges where it was easy to walk to. But deep within this barren land, inhospitable land, there's just all these odd evidences. But the further north you go, there's just this giant hole. Like, it's enormous. It's just this rock. It's all just this black stuff, you know, this volcanic plateau. You're trying to get an image here, you can't get one. Yeah, there's not really any images. You can't really go on. Like, it's hard to see. What have we got here? Nothing. Look at this thing. It's just as far as the eye can see, you know, it's just destroyed, burnt up, jagged, uneven, all over the place land. It doesn't look like lava flow either. It looks like, and this is my opinion, I don't know, but it looks like everything was just thrown into the air and just landed in a massive clump all over the place. It didn't flow into this position, all this black stuff. It kind of landed in a heap mess in this position. You know? So I've theorized if what we're looking at here is perhaps during Revelation, this is where Abaddon was released. Apollyon, the destroyer, with his legion of angels and locusts. You know, and this is, you know, for the Revelation event, this is how it went down, and this is where there was a war and everything, you know. And I'm thinking, is this where it happened? Is this just an enormous crater where even perhaps where Satan was bound? Who knows? And maybe when he was released after his little season, it's just this enormous, I mean, this is spanning hundreds of miles. You know, when you actually, you can't really appreciate it from this image I'm showing you here, but that is huge. and it's nothing but just mud and dirt and black rocks and stuff all kind of just slapped on top of each other. And this doesn't look like the result of lava flow on the edge here, or even like water flow or anything. It looks, I don't know what it is. It's just an absolute mess. It's just absolute chaos. And it's a ditch. It's not even a mountain. You know what I mean? So odd. Just such an odd phenomena. And even surrounding all this, it's clearly all this rock, all these little black rocks that are just scattering this black desert, as they call it, are probably just rocks that just landed in this huge patch here when this thing burst open. It just went so far into the sky with such force, it all just kind of scattered and landed predominantly in this area, and is all amalgamated in this area around here. So you want to talk about like the Nephilim horde just being released onto the earth from underground bases and stuff. Perhaps we already see examples of where that could have already happened with something like this. Al Safa, as is known. And it's just so bizarre. It's just this giant hole in the ground right here in the Middle East, and everyone's focused on like this point, over here, what's going on right here, right now, between these two. And it's kind of, what about this giant hole? What about this enormous hole just here, just on the side of it? It's so strange, honestly, so strange. And the carvings in there are odd as well. The whole thing is just, see, this looks like water flow or electrical flow. You know what I mean? The electrical phenomena, the effect has when huge forces of electricity are let loose on a piece of wood. I think it's the Lichtenberg figures. That's what these look like. And they say, oh, this is because of where rivers used to flow. I'm like, nah, that is quite clear the electrical phenomena. That was burnt into the ground from some kind of horrific lightning bolt-like energetic event of some kind. And it's not far away from where this thing was going on. So you've got to wonder. You've got to wonder. And, the Nephilim horde bursting out of the ground stuff, it really is the, years of war. E-Day, or Emergence Day, as we were talking about it with Connor. And if you want to see what this looks like, it's literally locusts, as they're called, or reptilian monsters. Locusts. These things, these terrifying looking things, just bursting out of the ground. Okay. Out of holes. And what they leave behind look just like those craters I just showed you in the Middle East, that giant crater. They leave something very, very similar to that behind once they come out of the ground. Locust, let me just type it in. Locust hole. Yeah, so there's an example of a hole some of them come out of, and they got the giant spiders while they're at it, which is even creepier. But they just burst out of the ground like this and leave behind a crater. That's what they leave behind once you've killed all the ones that have emerged out of it. And it just really does remind me of this, like in many ways. So, but where could it happen? I mean, it could happen anywhere, couldn't it? I mean, this is the point. If the subterranean and just underground is just a whole new civilization of these things that receded during the millennial reign, I'm guessing. When the millennial kingdom was established, they went underground and hid. They were no longer welcome on the surface in any form whatsoever. The earth now belongs to Jesus, and they, and the people were giving it back in a sense. And could it be they're going to re-emerge now during this little season? Now it's Satan's time. Could that be it? Could that be what's going on? Who knows? And like Connor was theorizing, it's the national parks, where it's all going down in America. And you got these national parks everywhere, all over America. And this is kind of these cut off patches of land where you'd find maybe entrances to the underground, and that's why you're not allowed to go there. That's why they're all like government controlled, and there's borders put in place and gates put around them, so you're not allowed to go in there because that's kind of their territory. That's where they pop their head out of the ground, and that's where they're kind of chilling now, and you're not allowed to go and encroach on their territory, and they promised probably not to come onto our territory as well. But close encounters happen when people get a bit too close to the borders, and some of these creatures, this horde, got a bit curious, and went to the edge themselves. Who knows, though? Who really knows? I'm just guessing here, But where do you think the subterranean world would be unleashed first? I mean, maybe it would be the Middle East. Maybe they'd reuse that hole that's already been made. I don't know. Who knows, eh? Let's just keep going with the chat anyway. Let's see what people are saying. Do not judge only based on appearance. Who's judging on appearance? Flat Earth Andy, let me know. I knew 2 people who said they were from another world, heading to Tampa. Some of the entertainers have said they weren't in control of their body when they were on stage, says we ain't buying it. Yeah, I guess you can feel the influence in a sense. I'm not saying what I said about the demon thing is 100% true. Like they can't, demons can't fully control the human vessel. Maybe they can, but I'm just saying from observation where I have seen it legitimately happening, and not where some celebrity claims it's happened to them. But you actually see the video of it happening in real time in these ancestor spirit worship cultures. It looks like a mess. It's chaos. And it's no fun for anybody involved, so I don't know. I can, like, the celebrity stuff is like hearsay, really, isn't it? You don't know they've been possessed. Like, they might say they have to mess with people for all we know, but when it actually happens, it's like, it's just awful. Like, these people are in agony, like screaming and crying, and their body's changing and things are happening to them, and like their eyes are bulging out of their head, and they're like cutting themselves and all these type of things, and they're covered in blood just from like the torture they're putting themselves through, and it's kind of, that looks like demonic possession, like, because even the demon can't fully control the body, and it's just like this odd, just janky mess. So I don't know. Hi, Paul. Do you think AI is the spirit of Antichrist? Well, I think it's just a modern day Ouija board. It's just a more advanced version of an Ouija board, and it's a method in which those who are in the other side, in the spirit realm, can use it to communicate with us. It's just a more advanced method of communication with the spirit realm, I would say. I mean, I think a spirit could more readily and easily possess technology, because electrical phenomena seems to go hand in hand with demonic phenomena. Jerry Marzinski talks a lot about that. These people he talked to who were schizophrenic, and he was talking to the demons, or said the demons were talking to them, and he's made that connection that these people aren't insane. The voices they're hearing are actually demonic in nature. He says like electrical stuff would happen. You could hear loud crackling, and like the lights would go crazy, and like these demons seem to be able to interact with technology in a way which is, it's more mechanical. It's easier for them to mess with mechanics and electricity and energies than it is to mess with biology, is what I'm trying to say here. There's like a distinct, so they'll if we create a robotic vessel for them, I reckon it'll be much easier for them to gain full possession of that vessel than it would be a biological vessel like ours, which was crafted by God, which they don't fully understand, But I think demons can easily understand the mechanical means and methods of ones and zeros, play God in a sense. So I think when you create something like an AI brain, a holographic brain using algorithms, and you create technologies like ChatGPT, those things working hand in tandem, you're kind of giving a false brain and a voice to the beasts, aren't you, to these disembodied spirits? So they can communicate with us more readily and easily that way, that through that method. It's a lot more simple than trying to control a human body, and use vocal cords and all that sort of thing, So yeah, in a way, we've given that ability to them to communicate with us more. It's a bit more efficient, isn't it, than getting people to hover their hand over a piece of floating wood with a bit of glass in it and moving along and spelling each word out. They're a bit. It's just a more advanced version of that, isn't it? A more efficient version of that old method. You don't have to hold those little copper sticks anymore and ask yes or no questions and let them touch each other. Like, you can just cut. If you really want to talk to a demon, you could. I mean, the elite probably do that. It's like, oh, we need to communicate with, one of the generals from the spirit realm, get our orders. So they fire up the computer and start chatting on the AI model, and they get their orders sent through quite easily and efficiently. Maybe that's how it works now, rather than having to get, we got to get the shaman in. They got to dress like the Hat Man now. We got to get him in the garb. We got to do the ritual. We got to summon the demon to get our orders again. If only there was an easier method of getting our orders from the devil than having to do this whole possession thing every time. You know what I mean? Now it's like, just fire up the laptop and fire up ChatGPT instead. Maybe that's what's going on. Like, it's just like a more modernized, advanced, mainstream method of communicating with the other realm. And they've just given it to us now to play with, not realizing that's what we're playing with, but they've been doing this maybe for decades, for all we know. The whole earth is led by an evil, incapable individuals who lack any empathy. Why don't those people destroying our food, air, water, etc. ever get a conscience? What they are doing it to their families. Well, Kathy, this is what I'm saying. I think there's an inhuman element to this, because human beings tend not to actually do that kind of stuff. It's not built into us to do that to our fellow man or to ourselves, especially not to our families. So you have to think they've lost either the humans who have lost their humanity to such an extent that you could practically call them inhuman now, monsters, or there is an element to them that was never human to begin with, going all the way back to the incursion of Genesis 6, But again, it's just theory, isn't it? And it's not for us to figure out who is and isn't. We can't do that. You can't determine a wheat from a tare. You just let them grow until harvest, and then you let Jesus deal with the harvest and his angels, and separate the wheat from the tares. It's explained clearly. It's not our job to do that. But in a way, yeah, I kind of feel like a lot of the conspiracy, and especially the conspiracy theorist culture, has a lot. I think there's been a lot of controlled opposition out there. Can't pinpoint who it is or isn't, but there's been a concerted effort to guide the conspiracy theorist world and all the conspiracy theorist people and all the factions to going down that route. There are people out there who aren't human. Let's get them. That type of thing. You know what I mean? Let's call out the hidden reptilian among us type of attitude. And let's get them. That type of attitude. And Connor was talking about it. It was quite funny because it's kind of like, humans sure can't kill other humans easily. It's hard for us to do that. But people don't seem to have any issue whatsoever if that thing's a monster. It's kind of like, there's monsters in my town, get me my gun. It's that type of attitude. Like, let's kill it. It's kind of, people have no issue killing a monster, but they would have issues killing a human. And that's kind of just in-group preference, I suppose. But when it's and that's how the alien invasion thing comes into play. It's kind of like, if they fake an alien invasion, the humans aren't going to have a problem killing aliens because they're not human. Their conscience wouldn't be involved with that process. It's kind of like, we need to do this because it's a threat against all humanity, so let's kill the other. And in many ways, that's how genocide happens within humans. They dehumanize the target first, and they make those who are doing the killing believe that the enemy isn't even human. They're like subhuman. You know what I mean? They're a threat to our very existence, and they turn them into monsters. And I'm kind of trailing off here. I'm not even sure what my main point was. Let's just leave that there. But yeah, whatever. We're all talking about the same thing, aren't we? Whatever. Trying to get the chats jumped away from me, guys. Let me just catch up and see something about agreements, evil incarnates. The inhuman. Yeah, so anyway, I was talking about the inhuman element, weren't I? And I guess I went off on a tangent on that idea. There are shamans that make spiritual contracts to do what they do. but eventually the spirit takes over and leaves the shaman like Nebuchadnezzar in his 7 years. Yeah, I think it probably takes practice to get full possession demonic stuff going on, but I really don't think a demon can ever fully own another human's body. It was never even the humans to begin with. It was God's. God owns it, and he ain't giving it to a demon. Like it's his, it's his property, fundamentally, on that level. So I don't think that is the game, but I think there is witchcraft is in the game of making it easier for demons to do that. That's the point of witchcraft for them. That's the underlying root of it all, aiding the enemy of humanity to better have more influence in this realm. That's all witchcraft ever truly was and is, I think. And I'm sure a lot of good witches out there would want to argue with me about that, but I don't care. You're wrong. You're just wrong. As Solomon was blessed with the ring, so shall the coming descendants. He will destroy all of them with it. The Testament of Solomon reveals many things we have questioned, says Visionary Vet. Yeah, the Testament of Solomon, though, is a questionable Jewish mysticism book from way later in, quite more modern in history, so you've got to take it all with a little bit of pinch of salt. The idea that man can have authority to control demons to do his bidding is not exactly what Christ came to do, was it? He just cast them out and was begone. I want nothing to do with you, flee from me, type of thing. Solomon took advantage of his power and subjugated the demons to do his will, and that's borderlining like witchcraft warlock stuff when you really think about it, so you got to be careful with that. Perfect possession can be more simple. Things that kill, steal, and destroy, like addictions, adultery, and gossip. True. Tesla robots, great place to hide a demon. Yeah, I guess so, Adam, that's right. How does Bigfoot play into all of this? I think Bigfoot is remnants of the Nephilim, the Elio, descendants of descendants of descendants of descendants of the original Nephilim. The grandchildren, children's children. They're like, they're not like the original OG Nephilim. They're like more watered down, humanized, hairy ape-like versions of the Nephilim. They've been more humanized and less lizardified from the original incursion. And I think there's many beasts and cryptids roaming the earth. People have encounters all the time, and they're all kind of remnants of that pre-flood, post-flood era where genetic engineering was going on. Humans were editing their DNA to be like the Nephilim, to Nephilimify themselves. That's kind of the phrase I've come up with to coin. That's my coined term, and they've tried to be like the Nephilim. So they're like faux Nephilim, petty Nephilim, X-Men, mutants. Like that's where it all comes from. Where do you think they get these ideas from for your comic books? And it was in a bid to be like the gods. And now we have remnants of these creatures all over the place, and their descendants everywhere, infesting all sorts of places. But at the end of the day, they avoid us at all costs as well. I think because of the spiritual warfare stuff, we have power over them. And also, it could be that they're being held back on purpose to be released in the end, and they're all a part of the agenda. Cult of Khan, I'm ready to embark on a deep woods Nephilim hunt with the Nephilim Death Squad. Yeah. Well, good luck to you. Let me know what happens. Adby, I think you make a good point. We should definitely take these dark beings seriously. The Nephilim will come for you should you tempt them. Well, maybe. But you can't live your life in fear, can you? Like, we're not supposed to be in fear of monsters or demons. I think on a daily basis, humanity is dealing with monsters and demons non-stop. It's a barrage. It's a spiritual thing as well as physical. And I'm not too worried about physical monsters coming to tear me apart. I really think they're saving that for the alien invasion is what I've seen to be theorizing so far. But we have the power to tread on these serpents at the end of the day, and even in a physical sense, I think they don't have the authority to do that to us unless it's given to them. And even if I was physically attacked by a demon, I would still call on the name of Jesus, and I bet it would still have power. So there we go. Serpent seed always leads to Christian identity theology. Yeah, it's a really bad... It's a bad path to start going down. It leads to some pretty dark places, and it always leads to the inevitable conclusion. Let's get him. Oh, great, so you're going to just go around murdering anybody you've got a hunch might be a lizard person. That's definitely what you need to go and do, isn't it? A great idea. It's like, and if you're wrong, it's like the witch hunts of the old days, we'll burn them, and if they're not a witch, they'll die. But if they're a witch, they can save themselves, and we'll know. It's that kind of thing, isn't it? It's a bad method, and it leads to bad places. So Taylor Swift has an invisible string to Athena. Taylor's bench in Centennial Park point to Athena. Okay, Visionary, I don't know anything about that. But Athena's a Greek goddess. I'm not sure if people have connections to goddesses and fallen angels like that necessarily. Maybe though. Who am I to say? I don't know. But I think it's more demon stuff than god stuff. Fear makes people do terrible things. Yeah. Say hey to Raven to me, yeah. You're close. Semantics is the devil in the details, says Kyle. You're going to leave me hanging like that? Do you want to give me any more information? Or just say, oh, you're so close, man. You almost understand exactly how I do, and I've got it right. You're so close. It's like, I hate when people do that. Just tell me what you believe and why I'm wrong. Just be straight with me. Come on. And let me do the guessing game. Believers have the indwelling spirit and cannot be possessed, right? Says Rocky Shepherd. I think so. I think if the Holy Spirit's within you and dwelling in you, then yeah, you have an extra layer of protection than most people have, and it'd be very, very difficult for a demon to share space with the Holy Spirit. I think, yeah, but it doesn't mean you can't be oppressed by demons. So demonic oppression is very different from demonic possession. And I think Christians are some of the most oppressed humans on the earth. Because that's what demons do, is they influence other people to go and make your life a living hell. And just make everything terrible for you all the time. And that's oppression. They'll get other people to do stuff to you through influence, because they can't influence you or own you or possess you. They'll get the people they do own and possess and influence to ruin your life. So that's demonic oppression. And, that's basically, I think, where the gang stalking phenomena resides and comes from. That's my running theory. Now, I'm sure, yes, there are real organized groups of people who are consciously working together with an organized plan to gang stalk individuals and make their life misery and get them hyper paranoid to destroy their credibility and ability to live functionally in the world and to drive them insane and gaslight them. Yes, there probably is a real human conscious aware efforts of that happening. But I think the majority of gang stalking phenomena, which is often equated to there are people out there purposely trying to do this to me, is actually this spiritual influence. And the people who are making other people's lives hell don't know they're being used to do that. And it's a simple thing, like they'll be influenced to go turn left on your way to work today instead of right like you usually do. And for some reason, they'll be like, oh, I feel like I need to turn left today. So they'll turn left and they'll end up cutting up somebody. And that somebody they just cut up, not realizing it because they made a different route, is the person who thinks they're being gang stalked. It's like, that person just cut me up. It's like they did it on purpose. But there'll be lots of that happening in that one person's journey on the way to work, like thousands of people near misses almost killing them and looking at them. And it's like each of those individuals who did that to the person who thinks they're being gang stalked is not aware of it. They've just been influenced to get in that person's way, or do something that's going to massively inconvenience that person, spill their coffee all over them or something like that, or trip up. And it's kind of, that's oppression. That's kind of how it is. And if the world hates the Christian, then the demons hate Christians and they want to steal, kill, and destroy, then they'll send thieves to their home that they demonically possess. They'll try and murder their family as well. They'll do stuff to them, But at the same time, I think if people take their authority and understand, no weapon formed against us in this world will prosper. If they know that, they can banish these influences. They can cast them out in Jesus' name. They can offer that hedge of protection over their family and their lives. So these demons can't even get close, even with the people who oppress them as well. It's about having faith and believing and knowing you're safe, we all have moments of weakness, don't we? And they're waiting for those moments for our guard to drop, for us to take our armor off for even a second. And if you let them in, if you give them an inch, they'll take a mile. It's that type of thing. And I'm not saying I have all the answers, but these are just observations, things I've picked up along the way, and how I seem to think maybe it goes. But we don't wrestle against flesh and blood fundamentally. But it's easy for us to try and point to a physical thing and say that must be it, and try and figure out a worldly answer for these seemingly bizarre coincidences and odd occurrences in our life. And I think a lot of it is more spiritual in nature, caused by these monsters who have an agenda against us, in a sense. Being saved, even enemies deserve respect. Being saved is not a license to provoke the devil every chance you get. Well, give the devil his due. Sure, he's a powerful adversary who's influenced and destroyed many people, but that doesn't mean you should fear him or give him too much credit. He's a defeated enemy, and it's best just not to think about him. Don't give him the attention he wants as well. There's that too. But you've got to let people know in like I'm trying to do in videos like this. It's kind of no fear. Take your authority. And be, if you want to be a warrior for Christ, do it. But understand it's a war, and it's not going to be easy necessarily, but you will triumph. You have more power and authority through Jesus and his sacrifice and his name. So use it, take it. It's the good news. It's the good news. And you may lose your life in this world, but you'll gain eternity in the new heaven, the new earth. So it's not the end. The end isn't the end at the end of the day. And all the devil's got is fear of losing your life here or suffering here. But if Jesus suffered and died for us, I mean, there's no sacrifice I can make that's greater. Anything I can do is will never live up to what he did for me. It's so you got to kind of have that attitude with it, and it humbles you. It makes you think about things more concisely and be clever about the choices you make a bit more. And I think being aware of the spiritual wickedness in this world gives you an edge over many other people who are whim to it. And it's not like, don't go looking for trouble, necessarily. But it definitely helps to be aware that there is trouble and what to look out for, surely, But I wouldn't go out there demon hunting, just necessarily. But if somebody comes to me and says, I think I'm demonically oppressed or possessed and I need help, I'm going to tell them everything I know and what I can offer them, and even offer to cast out the demon if they so want that. But I think they have to want it too. It's not something they can just... Some people like their demons. It's not going to come out of them if they're still holding on to it as well. It's complicated. Spiritual warfare is so complicated. There's no cut and dry, fast and loose method to deal with these things. But of course, the authority in Jesus and his name is our main weapon. It's the sword of truth that we have, and the word is the armor of God. So put it on. Get to know it. I actually don't care if it's the end of the end, says Red Pill Reloaded. Ends the cycle of suffering either way. Well, yeah, there's that too. Do I think the Vatican is the city God loves? I don't think any earthly kingdom is of God's love necessarily, other than Mount Zion, New Jerusalem, which descends from heaven. I don't think God loves any particular city. I think that kind of mentality is what's caused a lot of the problems we're seeing today, right? Happen to unfold before our eyes. The kingdom of heaven is within. So I don't know about that, but yeah, the castles of the saints, I think, is a reference to the millennial kingdom that was built on earth during the Christ millennial reign when the devil was locked up for 1,000 years. And I think castles were made, which are everywhere, which are dedicated to the saints, are they not? Most of the cathedrals are named after a particular saint or have a saint dedicated to them. So maybe it's just referencing the castles that are all over the earth dedicated to Christ's earthly ministry. But his kingdom is eternal and it's not of this world. So there's that too. There's a distinction that has to be made. But I do think there is going to be a physical war on earth where the castles of the saints will be surrounded. But it's likely as well there may be actually a place somewhere on earth that we don't know about or are not geographically privy to, where that's full of castles, where the camp of the saints currently is, that never died after they were resurrected and they're still on earth. Or maybe they're reigning in heaven with Jesus, I don't know, but perhaps they're still on earth somewhere. Whether it be the North Pole or some continent we don't know exists beyond the ice wall. Or some people, there's many theories and ideas, who knows, but maybe there'll come a time where we do know, and it gets surrounded by Gog and Magog. The Nephilim horde, that's what we were talking about, who knows? I can only theorize, I don't know. I don't have the answer for that. But I'm aware the Wycliffe Bible does translate it to castles of saints rather than the camp of saints, which is an interesting take. I'll agree. We're having some kind of theological debate there. I'm getting Peter thrown at me. Dang, Paul, I posted about the same thing earlier, says Wendy. People love to be the victim and look for things that aren't there in order to stay oppressed. Not all, but some. Yeah. It was a reference to trauma, though, but the same thought line. Yeah, it's it would be better if they never known the way to righteousness than to know it and then reject the command they were given to live a holy life. 2 Peter. Yeah. I know what you're saying there, Wendy. Trauma, again, comes in. Some people really do love their demons. And sometimes they love it because they get power. Like this demon. And this is like a openly known contract within the person. Like they have purposefully made a deal with the devil in their head, with the demon inside of them. And they've literally communicated with the damn thing and said, I'll let you use my body for your pleasures. But in return, I want fame and fortune. I want power. I want the strength of 10 men. I want immortality or the ability to be psychic and read minds. Or basically, you tell me what that other guy's thinking, so it seems like I'm reading their mind. That type of stuff, And that's a deal, isn't it? And it's kind of like, I don't want to give up my demon because my demon gives me superpowers. There is that. And I do think that really does happen. Okay. But then at the same time, there's those people who don't know that the reason they have these abilities is because of a demonic influence. They haven't really called it that. And they think they're special. They're gifted. They have these gifts. And they're just more spiritually in tune than other people. They're indigo children or something, you know what I mean? It's kind of like, I'm just in touch with my ancestor spirits, or I'm in touch with the ascended masters, or I'm in touch with aliens from the Pleiades galaxy, or I'm in touch with, the spirit guides, and they guide me through this world with intuition and teach me things and show me things, and I have an edge over other people, and I don't want to let go of these beloved entities that influence my life. People see it that way too, and they're kind of deceived about the nature of what's going on, because they're just the pride, their pride has been played on, and I think that happens too. So there's like literal known contracts with demons, there's unknown contracts with demons by another name, and then there's just people who kind of thrive off drama. They're kind of wired that way in a sense, and it's kind of, they kind of like that people fear them. Do you know what I mean? And it's really the demon in them that's made them, like, they behave in ways which are horrible and nasty because they're being influenced to be that way by a demon. And it's kind of, they like the fear that people have over them. And they don't know why people fear them. They think it's something to do with themselves because they're just such a hard ass or something, or a realist, or like a tough boss, let's say, or, maybe these are the psychopaths, we would call them, And they kind of like that. They like the people. That's their power. The power they have is over influence over people. People do what I tell them, not knowing that there might be demonic influence behind that, So when you come and say, like, you need to cast this demon out, and it's kind of like, what are you talking about? I haven't got demons, They're in denial about it. So there's many ways it goes down and many levels to this, and some more overt, more occult, and more ignorant than others. But it's complicated, isn't it? But some people generally have this condition where they enjoy their demons. And it's kind of sad when you think about it, And those people are never going to let a demon be exorcised from them. They're just not going to allow it. They'll cling on to it. Or the demon within will cling onto the body and make that person think, you need me, you need me. Don't let this guy cast me out of you. Without me, you're nothing. It's that type of, that attitude, So like maybe like schizophrenics who hear voices, who hear that, and like they'll kill the guy who's trying to exorcise the demon out of them before being helped, because the voices said, don't let this guy's trying to make you weak. He wants to get me out, I'm the thing that makes you strong. Don't let this thing get me. So there's like, it's dark. It's really dark, but everything I mentioned there's examples for this all over the place. There's testimonies to this just littering the internet and the world, and books written about it, and nothing I've said there you probably haven't heard before, right? You've heard accounts of these things, and that's because it's a multifaceted war, many methods and many techniques and weapons being used against us. It's really quite scary. It's Paul reading from YouTube chat, says Guacamole Kid. I'm trying. One thing is for certain, Paul, we are emotional creatures, and it is the number one way we are controlled and manipulated by the enemy. Yes, real humans have emotions, and that could be said by the enemy, that's what makes us weak. But that's what makes us in the image of God. Empathy. We have the ability to put ourselves in the shoes of another. We have the ability to perceive consciously beyond our own needs and our own self. These demons don't have that ability. And that's what makes them weak, because it makes them prideful. It makes them make mistakes because they think they're perfect. So in a way, what they class as a weakness in us is actually our strength. And what they think is their strength is what makes them weak. That's how God works, right? That's just his sense of humor. Kind of funny. We've got Gypsy Taylor in the chat. Thanks for the super chat there. If you guys didn't know, Gypsy Taylor made the song you guys listened to in the last live stream that I did with Connor. I played a quick song at the start. And yeah, it was made by Gypsy Taylor there. He sent it to me. He's worked on it. It's kind of amalgam. It's a song that's kind of amalgam together of all the things I talk about, all the Millennial Kingdom and Nephilim Clown stuff. He's kind of made a song about it all, and it's catchy. You know, it's quite good. I thought he had a bit of a jam to it, and I just played it for you guys at the start of the last stream. I probably should have explained that a bit more before diving into the stream. I'm sorry, Gypsy, that I didn't kind of explain that. And I believe I got your message. You said you are going to work on a more advanced version of that. It's kind of a preliminary one right now. I would say don't worry, please, about the visuals. You said that video got your channel taken down. It's because you showed a picture of the mustache guy from World War II. That's likely why you lost your video. Okay, you lost your channel. You have to be very careful about what kind of images you choose to show. Okay, it wasn't the lyrics that got your that channel banned. I can tell you right now what it was. I've blurred out all the imagery on my live stream, so it's just audio. Just focus on the audio, forget the video. Okay, video's not what's important. I think it was a great song, and you sent me the lyrics, so I know what the lyrics say, but I will say the lyrics are a little bit unclear audio-wise, if you want to critique. Maybe you don't want critique. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to put you down. It's a good song, but if you were to change anything, I would say just make the lyrics clearer, because there's a lot of distortion on them right now. But other than that, composition wise, it's brilliant. So yeah, keep at it. If you want to keep working on that song, that's great, and I'll definitely show it on the channel in the future if you want to keep doing that, Gypsy. I appreciate it. You know, but you own the song. I don't own the song. Like, I know you want to like give it to me to use for whatever and everything, but I'm not looking to draw up contracts. It's just a bit of fun. But I'll give you credit where, you know, it's your song, and if you want me to share what you've done with people on the channel, I'll do it for you. You know, no problem. Thanks for pending again. Appreciate it, dude. Emailed you to shoot me back. Keep up the good work. So I've answered your email there anyway. If you heard that, Gypsy, that's my answer to your email. Yeah, go for it. Work on the song. Make it better. You know, it's clearly something you're happy and passionate about. I like the song. I think it's funky. And if you allow me, I'll use it in the videos every now and then. It's like maybe an intro song or something, or an outro or something. Just, we can have some fun with it. This is a community. We're all working together, and I appreciate any creativity where it's been put. So I appreciate that. I think sorry guys, I'm just trying to chats on my app on OBS. It's not smooth. It kind of leaps, and I miss big chunks and have to scroll back. So you know the drill. I've done this before. This isn't your first rodeo, I'm sure. They aren't castles of saints anymore. I want to live in the castle of the saints, says Cult of Khan. That sounds about right. My little mage's tower off to the side there. All right. What a time to be alive that must have been. Demonic oppression has been the main theme of my life, says Douglas. And it got worse after I got saved, but at least I know why. It's happening now, and I can address it in prayer. Absolutely. You know, be on fire for the Lord when it comes to spiritual warfare. Stand up in your authority and defend yourself and your family against these demons. It's funny, I heard this phrase today, and it was falsely attributed to C.S. Lewis. Like, C.S. Lewis never said this, but people always equate him to saying this quote. And it's actually, it's C.T. Stud or something like that, who said this, like an evangelist, preacher, and a cricketer. I think he was a cricketer as well, but ended up being a missionary in China. He said this quote in like the late 1800s, but it says, "My main prayer is that when I die, hell will rejoice that I'm no longer in the fight." And I thought, but what a badass quote that is. Yeah, C.S. Lewis never said that, but everyone always thinks he did. Isn't that cool? You know, his main prayer is that when he dies, hell rejoices that he's no longer there in the front lines fighting against them. And I thought that was just cool. That was a cool quote. Whether there's any actual biblical validity to that or not, or what hell actually is, you know, all these type of things. I don't think there's anyone celebrating in hell for anything ever, you know, about anything. And C.S. Lewis certainly wouldn't have said that himself, because that's just not how he perceives it all. But it's a fun quote. It's a fun quote. Celebrities are always going to Antarctica, so are politicians, and they've really blurred out a lot of Antarctica. I doubt it's where would be, and maybe it is the North Pole, as you say. But well, who knows? Who knows, eh? I'm not here to say geographically where anything is. I just like theorizing and speculating about the concepts. It fascinates me. What if we were some of the fallen angels given souls to come back and see what we would choose if we were humans? Wow. I just tripped myself out on that one, says Gypsy Taylor. Yeah, Gypsy, I don't buy any of that. That's what's his name? There's a YouTuber who talks about that all the time, Trey Smith. And I'm pretty sure also that's a Mormon belief when you get into it, kind of, you know. No, we are not fallen angels who have been sent here to have none of that nonsense. We are human man made in God's image. We are the descendants of Adam on earth, and we have been saved and redeemed by God's Son, Jesus Christ. That's what we are. We're not fallen angels. That's not what we are. Okay, we wrestle against those things. Don't buy that Gnostic nonsense propaganda. Honestly, there's no basis, factual evidence or proof for any of that whatsoever. Historically, we can tell we've been at war with angels and their offspring. That's what's really going on. There's no evidence or basis to believe we are the fallen angels in any aspect whatsoever. It's fantasy. Going away, which way, says Coincidence Theorist. I'm just literally going. I'm not going to tell you where I'm going on holiday with my family. That's just ridiculous. To an undisclosed location on the mainland of England. Me and my heavily pregnant wife and son are going to go on a short break together as a family before the new baby arrives. That's what we're doing. Okay, I'm going to take a week off from making YouTube videos and focusing on work. I'm just going to go enjoy some time with the family. That's what's going on. So I have a quick live stream with you guys tonight, and then I'm off. Be more you or be less you. Add God to the beginning of it sounds like a curse. Bless. Be less. God, be less. I mean, when you start playing those kind of word games, you are just making stuff up, you know. Like, you are just reading into things that aren't actually there. You know, a blessing is just a loving action or thought towards something, or to bring somebody up is to bless them in a sense, you know, and to bless them under the pretense of God and everything he represents is not a bad thing. But when you start saying be less, bless, you're saying like let God be lesser, and it's kind of you just that's not what the word is. We have a word called be less. It's spelled BE space LESS. But we're not saying that. We're saying bless. It's a different meaning, different word, different connotations. And, you know, I get what you're doing, and there's a lot in the conspiracy world that do that word game, or then you get into the gematria stuff as well, and I think it can get really annoying, okay? And it's we can't say anything then. And then before you know, it's like the whole English language is corrupt, so we need to be silent monks. Is that the end game solution? Like, how do we live then? How do we communicate at all if we're not even allowed to use the language given to us? That's kind of, it leads to some bizarre conclusions when you take it to its inevitable end. And it's kind of, there's nothing more you can do about it. You can't do stuff. You can't live like that. That's just not a good thing. I don't know. Just my 2 cents on that situation. Thanks, Paul. And yes, I do appreciate constructive criticism. Yeah, that was an unmixed and mastered version, and I'll clean it up and send. Occasionally, lyrics change to topics. Lol. Okay, I don't know. I don't know what you're saying there at the end, but yeah, Gypsy, I'm glad. Keep working at it. It's a good song, and tune it up. Absolutely. Kingdom Walk. Hey man, first time in a live stream. I'll be quick. Where do I go from here with the Millennial Kingdom thing? I mean, you can stay where you are. You don't have to go anywhere. Nothing's changed. You're still living your life as you were on Earth, right? You're still in the same place. You still live in the same house with the same job and the same mother, father, family, everything else. You're still a believer in Jesus Christ, are you not? You're still saved by his sacrifice and, the Holy Spirit, and by what he did for us. You believe upon him and have faith in his works, and therefore you are saved, not by your own works, but by his sacrifice, right? All that's the same. The Great Commission's the same. Go out, spread the gospel, and point more people to him. Nothing's changed. All that's changed is context. All that's changed now is every time you see a end times ministry telling you that a certain planetary alignment in the skies are representing a specific sign mentioned in Revelation about the coming tribulation, you can, like the rest of us, cringe and say, as if I used to believe that nonsense. That's where you are now. You just see through it. And that we're not waiting for tribulation to come upon us. We're waiting for the Gog Magog war and the final great white throne judgment. And you live through during that time now. That's where you are in time now. Your context has changed. But your life doesn't change, really. If you're already someone walking with Christ, I mean, continue as you were in a way. Just make sure you're covered. That's all I can really say on the matter. Like, if everything I've said is true and this theory is true, and I think it is. I think I'm leaning more to. It seems to make sense of everything for me personally. I could be wrong. Who am I? And if I'm wrong at the end of it all, then so be it. Let God deal with me as He sees fit, and that's fine. I'll deserve it, surely. I'll if God unequivocally says, Paul, you dropped the ball on that one, I'll be like, I'm sorry. Okay, you're right. I'm sorry. I thought it was true though, and I was wrong. Like, so be it. But what can we're trying to figure out a massive deception here. We're doing the best we can with what we've got. We are decoding all of this from a position of darkness and ignorance, and with the Holy Spirit as our guiding light, we're doing the best we can to decode markings on a pitch black cave by candlelight, and we can't see the big picture. We're limited with our tools available to us and our consciousness and our cognitive abilities to understand the spiritual realm to see the full picture, so we're doing the best we can with what we've got. And when you see the little season angle, it not only contextualizes ourselves in a time and space, but it contextualizes all the conspiracy and why we even have one and what the real end goal of it all was to begin with. What it all really is about, why they're lying to us about so many things. It changes everything. It shifts the perspective and it makes sense. There's a lot of things that didn't make any sense until you equated this angle into the whole situation. And we're just off of mental gymnastic, blind faith, speculation have we tried to make sense of some things in this process. Because we didn't have the Millennial Kingdom angle as like a possibility or something we could frame it with. And it all clicks once you frame it in that worldview. I have found. And some people don't like it. Don't like me saying that. They really don't. There's a lot of, like I said, end times ministry type YouTube channels out there with hundreds of thousands of subscribers who have been in the game for decades, who have built an empire on the tribulation coming. And someone like me is a threat, in a way. And that's not what I intended to be. I was naive. I was like, I didn't take my own advice. I was like, I discovered this amazing thing. And I'm like, guys, look at this. Isn't this great? You need to know about this. Not realizing, that people are going to be like, you're crazy. No, I don't want to know that. So people aren't ready to know. And that's what we all do, isn't it, as conspiracy theorists? When you discover something, you go run into your friends and family and say, guys, do you see this thing? Look what's happening. And they're like, nah, because you're shattering their foundations and they're not ready to know that stuff. And they'd rather just go through ignorance and not bother knowing it because it makes the status quo happy with their life, and you've come along just shaking it all up. That's kind of what I've done to these people who have lived by the dispensationalist gap 70th week, futurist doctrine. Like, it's all coming upon our generation. They believe that for so long. That someone like me coming along it's foundation destroying. They don't like it. And they said those who have invested heavily into it and created ministries by it are scared to lose face, I imagine. So they're not going to go down without a fight, and they're going to be clinging to that earthly ministry above the truth. Who knows? Who knows? Maybe I don't know people's hearts, I don't know. But I've certainly got emails that are extremely vitriolic from some of these people telling me I'm evil, and they're going to expose me for what I truly am, spreading this false doctrine that I have to give an account for in the end, and it's kind of trying to guilt me into just not speaking anymore. And it's kind of like, well, go and try and expose me. What are you going to find? Nothing. I'm literally a nobody. I'm just some guy with a laptop and then a microphone. Anybody can do what I'm doing. I'm nothing special. There's no dirt to dig up. I didn't do anything with my life that was that exciting. I've been pretty much open about where I've come from and what I've done. I'm an open book. There's nothing nefarious to find, and there's hundreds of people like me online now doing the exact same thing I'm doing because they're just waking up to it all and just have the resources to start. Who does not have the resource to start a YouTube channel? It's not that hard. It's not as hard as people think it is. I'm trailing off on one now, but you know what I mean. I need a holiday, as you can tell. Which is what I'm going to do, guys. I'm going to go on holiday. I'm going to take a break. Right, guys. I've been going for an hour 38 there. I'm going to keep this short. I'm going to get back to the family. I'm going to do some packing, some final stuff for tomorrow. Thanks for being here. Thanks for listening, guys. I really appreciate it. If you want to get a signed copy of the book, just send me an email, understandingconspiracy@gmail.com. It is in the description of this video if you want to just copy paste. Let me know you're interested if you want a hard copy or a paperback. It's £60 for the paperback, £70 for the hard copy, and that covers delivery anywhere in the world. That's delivery as well. It's the full price package done. Send that, I'll sign it and send it off wherever in the world, and we can get that done. Again, if you go to Amazon, leave a review if you bought the book already. That'll be appreciated. I am going to release 2 podcasts this week while I'm off, which I've already pre-recorded this prior week. So when they release theirs publicly, I'll release mine on my channel so you guys can have that too. But again, I won't be doing any live shows or anything in the next week. But I'm picking back up where I left off when I come back. And I think on Sunday and Wednesday and then Sunday, I do have live shows as well already planned. And guests on other people's podcasts, people coming on my podcast. So there's plenty coming. Join the Telegram if you haven't already. Join Patreon if you haven't already. There's lots of cool stuff on there. I'm uploading a lot of things on there over the past week. Stuff that isn't on YouTube. That's too spicy for YouTube. You know how it is. So go check that out if you haven't already, if you remember, or you can sign up. $5 a month is the minimum, and you get access to everything. But there's other tiers on there if you want to chuck a little extra my way. The options there, but $5 is all you need to donate a month to get access to all the extra content. So go check that out if you haven't already, guys. There's the link to the Patreon. It's in the description down below. But yeah, the book's available on Amazon, and I'm going to close this show out with an advert for you. But thanks for listening, and as always, God bless.
When ordinary people think of autumn, they imagine shorter days, cozy fires, curling up with a great piece of literature and basking in the warming scent of cinnamon with shades of burnt orange, which your other half has decided to spend the life savings on to decorate the home for only 2 months, just as God intended. Yet we must remember that this transition into the frosty abyss of winter creates the perfect conditions for the spread of the pathogen known as Halloween. This disease causes people to dress like demons and go door to door asking for free stuff. This public service announcement aims to give you the correct tool to help you deal with these contagious commie behaviors when they manifest in your local community. First, you'll want to arm yourself with multiple shots of the best-selling paperback on Amazon called The Nephilim Looked Like Clowns. With this PPE, you're fully equipped and well protected to handle what's to come next. Second, have a pumpkin spice latte and white girl autumn your time away in knitted cream shackets and pilgrim hats, because soon enough, Samhain begins. This is when the veil between the spirit realm and the physical world is at its thinnest, and possession, the main symptom of Halloween, is more commonly presented, causing this type of unironic cringe to start happening. Just look at him. This poor soul thinks he looks cool. And if you're not careful, this could be you. Together we can stop the spread of Halloween and flatten the curve. When you see fully grown adults playing dress-up and mirroring unspeakable horrors from beyond the void, remember your training and cure their vapid sense of self-identity by handing them one of our favorably reviewed treatments. Your country must develop herd immunity to seasonal cringe. So, spread the cure far and wide. Just like the cure, this disease does not discriminate by age. Emulating the infected, you will see children running around in bedsheets, knocking on doors, begging for sugary treats, and threatening to damage your well-earned property. Make sure to fill their novelty buckets with the one thing all children secretly want: a well-rounded and relatable education in biblical history. That'll stop the spread. The Nephilim Look Like Clowns and the inevitable booster volumes are currently the only known cure to thinly veiled demon channeling holidays. This is your best defense against this pandemic of spooky proportions. All you have to do is trust the science. Which you know we did, because I'm showing you people wearing lab coats and looking serious. Get your copy on Amazon today and be prepared for tomorrow. Side effects of reading The Nephilim Look Like Clowns include, but are not limited to, a feeling of existential crisis, a well-rounded knowledge of a Christian contrarian view on human history, a foundational understanding of spiritual warfare, and a healthy aversion to clowns.